I reviewed 11 container home builds this year. 7 of them had the exact same mistake. And in most cases, the owner had no idea until after move-in. Today I'm breaking down all 7. For each one, I'll show you what it looks like, what it costs you, and what the right move is. If you're planning a container home, or even just thinking about it, watch this before you spend a single dollar. Let's get into it. Okay, so mistake number 1. Most people, and I mean most, shop for the cheapest container they can find. And look, I get it. The price difference feels significant up front. But here's what they don't tell you. There is a massive difference between a standard container and a high cube. Standard gives you 7 feet 10 inches of interior ceiling height. A high cube? 9 feet 6 inches. That's nearly 2 full feet of difference. And in a living space, that is everything. Natural light, ventilation, how the insulation sits, how rooms actually feel. Buying cheap up front usually means $3,000 to $8,000 in fixes down the line. Reinforcing compromised steel, dealing with corrosion, sometimes scrapping the whole unit entirely. I've seen it happen. Always spec a 1-trip or 2-trip high-cube container. Yes, it costs more up front, but it is the foundation of your entire build. Don't cut corners here. Mistake number 2. And this one genuinely scares me. Containers are designed as a closed system. The strength lives in the corner posts, the top rails, the corrugated walls, all of it working together. The moment you cut a large opening for a window, a door, a passage between containers, you have compromised that structural integrity. Without proper engineering, the container can rack. It can twist. In extreme cases, partial collapse over time. Structural failure is not a cheap fix. We're talking $10,000 to $25,000 in remediation, and that's before you factor in any damage to the finishes, the plumbing, or the electrical inside. Every single cut needs to be engineered. Full stop. You need a structural engineer to specify the header beam sizes, the reinforcement welding, the load transfer path. This is non-negotiable. Okay, mistake 3. This is probably the one I see most often, and it is brutal when it goes wrong. People spray foam insulation on the inside of the metal walls, right on the steel. Sounds logical, right? It is not. Here's what actually happens. Metal conducts temperature. The exterior surface gets cold. And now you've got a thermal bridge, right between your warm interior and that freezing steel. Moisture condenses inside your walls. You cannot see it. You cannot feel it. And within 12 to 24 months, mold and rust from the inside out. Remediation? Strip the interior, treat the rust, re-insulate correctly. Easily $8,000 to $20,000. One family I reviewed had to gut their entire container 18 months after move-in. 18 months. Insulate from the outside wherever possible. That's your first choice, always. If you must insulate internally, use closed-cell spray foam as a vapor barrier first, then add your insulation layer on top. And always include a thermal break. Always. Mistake 4. This one costs people everything. Not just money, months of their life. They find a piece of land. They fall in love with it. They buy the container, they start planning, and then they find out. The zoning doesn't allow permanent residential structures, or container homes specifically, or the setback requirements make the lot completely unbuildable for their layout. I have personally seen people lose $40,000 on land they can never legally build on. Lost deposits, wrong land purchases, redesign fees, legal costs. This can run anywhere from $15,000 to $50,000 or more in total losses. Before you buy land, before you even get excited about a parcel, call the local planning office. Ask specifically residential zoning, alternative dwelling rules, setback requirements, any HOA restrictions, and get it in writing. Mistake 5. A shipping container is a metal box, and that has real implications for electrical and plumbing that most DIYers simply don't account for. Metal conducts electricity. A wiring fault that would just trip a breaker in a timber-framed home can energize the entire container shell in a metal structure. That is a life safety issue. I want to be very clear about that. And for plumbing, penetrations through steel walls need to be properly sealed and supported. Otherwise, you get movement, cracking, and leaks inside your insulation cavity, where you'll never see them. Code violations, insurance denials, full rewiring, figure $6,000 to $18,000 to fix improper electrical in a container. And if something goes wrong before you fix it, the costs are unthinkable. Hire licensed trades who've worked on metal structures before. Ask specifically about their container or steel frame experience. It makes a real difference in how they approach the work. Trust me on this one. Mistake 6. And this one deserves its own section because even builds with decent insulation skip this. Every time you cook, shower, breathe, you are generating moisture vapor inside that container. In a metal structure with no vapor barrier, that moisture hits the cold steel and condenses. Over time, it doesn't just cause mold, it causes the steel itself to corrode from the interior. Your container is literally rusting from the inside while looking perfectly fine on the outside. You would never know until it's too late. Full interior strip, rust treatment, barrier installation, refinishing, $5,000 to $15,000 depending on the severity. Plus lost time, plus the emotional toll of gutting a home you already loved. A continuous vapor barrier on all interior surfaces, non-negotiable. It goes in before any framing, any insulation, any finish. It is a $500 to $1,500 material cost that protects a $50,000 to $150,000 investment. Do the math. And mistake 7. Containers are steel boxes. They absorb heat. If you get the orientation wrong, if you put your main glazing on the west face or run the container perpendicular to prevailing winds, you have turned your home into a solar oven. I have seen container homes hit 95 degrees Fahrenheit inside, in summer, with the H-face running flat out. That is an orientation problem. That is a shading problem. That is a window placement problem. And large west-facing glass with no overhang? One of the fastest ways to create a completely unlivable space. Retrofit shading, H-face upgrades, window replacements, $4,000 to $12,000. And you never fully fix a bad orientation without spending serious money. It is baked into the bones of the build. Orient the long axis east-west. Put your main glazing north or south, depending on your hemisphere. Include overhangs sized for your latitude, and place your windows for cross-ventilation. It will cut your cooling costs dramatically and make the space actually comfortable to live in. 7 mistakes. Every single one of them is preventable. And here's the thing that really gets me. Not a single one of these happened because the owner was careless. They happened because nobody told them. Nobody told them these things existed until it was too late. A proper design plan, one that accounts for structure, insulation, vapor barriers, orientation, and local code from day one, eliminates every one of these before you break ground. That's what we do. If you're in the planning stage and you want to make sure your build doesn't end up on a list like this one, the link is in the description. And if this was useful, subscribe, because this is just the start.